Hi, I am Sachini, and what we are going to do today is that we will be looking at the 2019 criminal paper, a question that I have specifically selected. And before we are going into that, since this is an exam-oriented based teaching and learning mode, I thought of giving you some tips that I personally use in an exam. So first thing is when you get the paper, don't panic. Just chill and read the paper from the beginning. And then you'll be selecting questions. Some question number one is compulsory, and you'll have to select five more questions. And select questions that you can score more. And the next important thing is that the key terms, use of key terms. Every question has key terms, and you should be able to select them. And because they will add weightage to your answer. So, in the question number 4 of this same paper, I will be reading out culpable homicide is a genus and murder its species. All murders are culpable homicide, but not vice versa. A higher degree of intention or knowledge is required to support liability for murder than that which suffices to sustain a conviction of the lesser offense of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. So this statement has several words which are really important. Culpable homicide, murder. All murders are culpable homicide, but not vice versa. That statement itself is really important, and the intention or knowledge. So you are supposed to define them, say where they are in the penal code, and their role with murder. What do they do? What are their relationship? What does intention and knowledge do? How is it related to murder? So you'll have to stress on it and say. So that's simply because it will add gravity to your answer. And the next important thing is the structure. Before I write an answer for an exam, I basically take my pencil and I try to jot down the things that I want to include in my answer. This is simply done because I don't want to miss out on marks, because I am a person who will forget things, who will miss out on things, and I am on a hurry. So what I do is I write them down, and not statements or paragraphs, just one or two words that will make me remember that I am supposed to include this in my answer. So I'll be writing intro, what I'll be writing in intro, body of the answer, and then the case laws. I won't be writing the case law there, but then I'll be writing the name of the case laws, even though I don't like specifically write the facts of all the cases, but then I will just name the cases that I know are related to the case. So that's that. And most of the people have questions on how many and how much pages are we supposed to write in an exam. I don't really believe in numbers, and I think the quality of the answer is what it matters. So try to write many as possible case laws. Try to include at least two cases with facts, summary, and the principle, and why are you using it in the answer itself, and that will make your answer really look great. So quality is what matters, and try to make your argument heavy. That's that. And coming into the question that I'm going to do today, it is the question number 5 of the 2019 criminal paper, which is having 4 parts. Again, I will give importance to the number of marks and how it is given. It will always be 16 marks, but then the way it is given will differ. You will have questions with whole 16 marks. You'll have questions with 2 parts, which will be awarded 8 marks each, or 4 marks each, 4-part questions. So I personally like writing 4-mark questions, even though you will have to write a lot covering the whole area of the of the relevant principle. But then I think writing that is really easy, because you will have to write the principle and few case laws related to it. So you will get it when I do the paper. So we'll be going through it now. So act of provocation, and this has 4 parts. Act of provocation, ideally in the first part. The test of an average person from the same social class. And the third one is interval of time elapsed between the time of provocation and the act that led to killing, and culminated provocation. So I'll be going through those 4 parts. That's basically covering up the whole grievance out of provocation part. So the first thing is that you should understand grievance and provocation is an exception to murder. It's actually the first exception, and it is a mitigatory plea. What is a mitigatory plea is that it is a mitigatory. The word itself is self-explanatory. It will diminish responsibility. You won't be charged fully for what you did. So it yeah, it's a mitigatory plea, and yeah, that's basically it. So it won't like it does not completely exonerate the criminal liability, but it will what will do is it will diminish it. So that's my first argument. And then the question is act of provocation and retaliation. So provocation and retaliation are two specific terms in the question. You're supposed to describe them, what they are. Provocation is basically, getting nuts on based on something a friend does, something someone said. So it's uncontrollable rage that person has, and also it can also be defined as an act done in irritation and annoyance, and the purpose it must be defined as anything that ruffles or ignites the temper of man. So what is provocation is really defined in the case Rex vs. Banda 20 CLW 129. It says that the evidence must be proven and given really clearly that the accused is provoked. So, in other words, there must be evidence to indicate that the accused is provoked, in simple. So, that's what Rex vs. Banda says. The next term is retaliation. So, what is retaliation? Basically, coming back at what you have lost, the harm, or basically, what the retaliation mean is revenge. So, I have defined retaliation, and that's a response given to a harm or damage caused, or it's a comeback or paying your return. So, I have also used this case, Chandrasena versus Attorney General, SLR 1998. I think it's really important because it basically explains a whole lot deal. So what it says is that act of retaliation must be proportionate to the gravity of the act of provocation. What it simply says is that you can't kill a man who stole your pen or your coconut. So that's what it says. Further, above cases also stated that the act of retaliation and provocation are not separate elements, but two elements connected through the gravity of the situation. I hope you understand that. It is really simple. What it says that the act of the provocation and the act of retaliation must be equal or less. That's that. And I have also written down Attorney General versus John Pereira case here. The next part, second part, is the test of an average person. The test of an average person from the same social class. What is important in this is the term social class. Why are they stressing on it? So, when a court gets a problem, how would they check the reasonability of the provocation? It's subjective. So, what the court will do is, court will take another man of same circumstances of life, same social background, and compare it with the accused, and that's how court will measure, seeing whether it's reasonable or not, the provocation is reasonable or not. So this case is really important. Punch Banda versus the Queen in NLR. This case is really important because it basically gives out what the same social class is, as in it will explain it better. So the provocation must be average to the same social class background as the accused person. I'll read out the facts of this case. What has happened here is that there is a person, a village folk, who had actually lost cattle. Cattle is really important to him. His basic livelihood. So he had depended on his cattle a lot. So with time he had lost one by one, and with time he had lost about 30 cattle. And he had found out who is stealing his cattle, and he had come to the person and told them that though they wear expensive shirts and good cars, they are nothing but cattle thieves. So this is that provocation that he gave. So words enough can be enough to provocate a person. Okay, and then I have also included Muthubanda versus the Queen case, where the case says the provocation would be grave, where the ordinary or an average man of class to which the accused belongs would feel annoyed against the act of provocation. That's what the case says. And also I have written James versus the Queen, because this case is important. James versus the Queen, because it talks about the burden of proof. So when the accused must inter alia prove such provocation is likely to destroy the self-control of an average man of the average man of the class of society to which the accused belongs. So it's basically reiterating the question itself. Next question is the time of killing. So, as I said, grave and sudden provocation is applicable to a situation where the provocation and the act of killing had taken place simultaneously or at like similar point of time. But it's not only the case. You can even apply grave and sudden provocation in a situation where there's an interval between the act of killing and the provocation. So, but the important part is, as I have explained, the interval of time should show that accused is under loss of self-control, and that's why he committed the murder. So I have explained what grave and sudden provocation here again is, and also I have written that I have explained about the gap. As in, I have written, hence a situation where there's a gap between the act of the provocation and the exception, it is still applicable. The evidence given forth must show how that the accused who had acted in murder had caused the murder due to the lack of loss of self-control in which he had been subjected to within the interval of the time and provocation. So this is explained in the Sindhathambi versus the Queen case, because what has happened here is that it's a problem between husband and wife. Wife had wished the husband to be dead, and by hearing that, the husband had gone into a shock. He might have loved her really much, like really a lot, and so he had gone into a shock, and that's the point where he got provoked. But then he didn't kill her on the spot. After a certain time, he killed her. So there was an interval between time of the provocation, that is the statement said by the wife, and the act of killing. So and the evidence had shown that there is a loss of self-control within the interval of time he was subjected to, and he had no time to cool. Apparently, no time to cool. So that's that. Next is the culminative provocation part. Culminative provocation is not old as other parts that we have discussed above, but then culminative provocation is relatively a new term. What it says is that the culminative provocation is a provocation which had resulted to murder, is not sudden, but had resulted in provocation been culminated for years and years of time. In other words, the provocation here is culminated, been collected for a large amount of time. The famous case for this is the Premalal versus Attorney General case. What has happened in the sorry, what has happened in the Premalal versus Attorney General case is that the guy had stabbed the girl. There was apparently a love affair between them, and the girl had married someone else, as I can remember. And to bear the loss of that, he had stabbed her and also had tried to consume a bottle of poison, which shows that he is really losing it. So, to go into facts much extensively, could remember that the affair of theirs were known to many people in the college or the university, and she had also another affair with some other guy, and so the fact of he drinking poison and stabbing her brutally shows that he was under mental trauma. The loss was really uncontrollable for him. That's what happened in this case. So I haven't written much for cumulative provocation because there's not really a large amount of facts to be written. It's relatively new. But if you can find more cases for it, I think it will be really adding new marks. So that's it. I have explained the fifth question, and I think by listening to this and having the facts here, that means these parts: act of provocation and retaliation, the test of average person, the interval, and the cumulative. If you are describing that in an answer of a grave and sudden provocation question, you will be able to get full marks, as in you will get at least close to a full mark answer, because it covers almost all the parts of grave and sudden provocation. So if you have any more questions, please try to contact us, and I hope you have understood the lesson. And yeah, that's basically it. So have a nice day.